He showed me exactly enough to make me trust him completely, and never one thing more. Not because of what he could do, but because of how still he was while doing it. I've watched him walk into rooms where every person present wanted him dead, and he'd pour himself a drink first. Not as a performance, not to intimidate. He simply operated at a different frequency than the rest of us. His calm isn't the absence of awareness. It's the product of total awareness. He sees everything. He has already calculated the exit, identified the threat, accepted the worst outcome, and then he speaks. Slowly, deliberately. In 23 years of federal service, I have sat across from terrorists, cartel heads, war criminals, men who made lesser agents flinch just by entering a room. None of them prepared me for Raymond Reddington. That is not a personality trait. That is discipline at its most refined. My name is Harold Cooper. I am the Assistant Director of the FBI's most classified task force, a position that required me to spend the better part of a decade working alongside and frequently against Raymond Reddington. I want to be very clear about something before I say anything else. I am not a naive man. I have spent my career reading people, assessing threats, identifying manipulation before it has time to take root. And Raymond Reddington manipulated me, not through deception, not through leverage, not through the 1,000 tactical advantages he always seemed to hold, but through something I did not see coming, and am only now, years later, able to name. He showed me his wounds, selectively, deliberately, with the precision of a surgeon choosing exactly where to cut. He let me see the parts of him that were broken, and those glimpses, those carefully chosen moments of apparent vulnerability, made me trust him more completely than any demonstration of strength ever could have. I am here today to tell you exactly how he did it and why it worked on a man like me who should have known better. The first time Raymond showed me something real, I almost missed it. It was not dramatic. It was not a confession. It was not a breakdown. It was a pause. We were in the middle of a negotiation, the kind where every word is a calculated move, where nothing is said that has not been considered, and Raymond, mid-sentence, stopped, not for effect. I have seen him stop for effect. This was different. Something crossed his face. Something that had nothing to do with the room, or the negotiation, or me. Something private, something old, something that lived in a part of him that the performance did not reach, and then it was gone. He continued as if it had not happened, but it had happened, and I had seen it, and something in me, without my permission, without my professional judgment signing off on the decision, softened, because for one unguarded moment, I had seen something behind the performance, something human, something that hurt, something that had been hurt. And a man who can be hurt is a man I can understand, is a man I can trust. Raymond knew exactly what he was doing. The pause was not accidental. Nothing Raymond does is accidental, but it was genuine. And that is what made it so extraordinarily effective. He did not manufacture vulnerability. He selected it. He chose, with extraordinary precision, which wounds to let me see, at which moments, in which doses, just enough to make me human toward him, never enough to make me think him weak. I need you to understand the distinction, because most people get this wrong. Weakness and vulnerability are not the same thing. Weakness is uncontrolled exposure. It is the involuntary leaking of your insecurities, your fears, your need for approval, your desperation for the outcome. Weakness gives people a map to your psychology. Every uncontrolled reaction, every over-explanation, every moment of visible anxiety is information, and information in the wrong hands is leverage. Selective vulnerability is the opposite of weakness. It is the deliberate, controlled, precisely timed, strategic decision to let someone see one true thing about who you are. not to weaken your position, but to humanize it. Raymond never leaked. In 30 years of watching him, I never once saw Raymond Reddington give anyone information about his internal state that he had not already decided to give them. But he gave. That is the part most people miss. They see the control. They see the precision. They see the armor. And they think, this man never lets anyone in. They are wrong. He let people in. Very specifically. Very intentionally. Very carefully. He showed Dembe his grief. Because Dembe had earned it, and because showing Dembe his grief created the kind of loyalty that cannot be manufactured through any other means. He showed me his regret on specific occasions, about specific things, because my knowing that Raymond was capable of regret made every decision he made slightly more bearable for me to sanction. He showed Elizabeth Keene his love, because her knowing that she was loved, genuinely, completely, was the only thing that kept her inside a relationship that by every rational measure should have ended. Each wound, shown to the right person, at the right moment, in the right dose, produced exactly the result he needed. Not through manipulation, through truth, selectively told. In all my years with Raymond, I identified 3 categories of vulnerability deployed with consistency. 3 wounds, 3 chosen revelations, 3 strategic openings in the armor. The first, his love for what he had lost. Raymond had lost everything that most people build their lives around. Family, home, identity, country, and he carried that loss. Visibly, not constantly, not performatively, but in specific moments, with specific people. He would let the weight of it be briefly, undeniably apparent, and the effect of seeing a man carry that much loss and still operate at the level Raymond operated was not pity, it was awe, because it answered the question every person who encountered Raymond eventually asked, how does someone carry all of that and remain, not just intact, but extraordinary? The brief glimpses of the wound answered the question. He carries it. He does not pretend it is not there. He has made his peace with it. And he continues. That answer produced more trust than any demonstration of competence ever could. The second, his capacity for genuine remorse. Raymond had done things, I will not enumerate them, that by any conventional moral framework required remorse. And he felt it, not publicly, not as performance, not as the strategic apology designed to make problems disappear, but genuinely, privately, in moments he did not know or did not care that I was watching. And on the occasions he let me see that remorse. It did something to my assessment of him that I could not rationalize away. It made him accountable, not to institutions, not to law, not to the framework that I had spent my career upholding, but to something, to his own internal standard. And a man with an internal standard, even one I disagreed with, was a man I could work with, because unpredictability is the thing I cannot manage. And a man with a conscience, however unusual its architecture, is never truly unpredictable. The third, his loneliness. This one, he showed almost no one. I saw it twice in all our years together. Twice in unguarded moments. The loneliness was simply there, not sad, not self-pitying, just present, like a fact about the landscape. And those 2 glimpses of a man who had chosen a life that required a particular kind of solitude and was living with that choice fully, without complaint, without revision, changed something in me permanently, because I understood in those moments that everything Raymond did, the empire, the blacklist, the extraordinary complicated life, was not the life of a man who had gotten everything he wanted. It was the life of a man who had traded what most people want most for something he had decided mattered more. And that trade, that conscious, costly, irreversible trade, is the mark of someone operating from a set of values so deep They are worth any price. I may not share his values, but I respect, absolutely, a man who pays for them. I want to be honest about something. Raymond's selective vulnerability worked on me, not because I was weak, but because I was human. And that is the most important thing I can tell you about this psychology. It does not work by exploiting weakness. It works by activating our most fundamental human response. The response that says, this person is real. This person is not entirely a performance. There is something in here that has been hurt, that has lost things, that has paid prices. And a person who has paid prices is a person whose convictions I can believe in, because they have demonstrated through what they have lost that those convictions are not just words. Every time Raymond showed me one precise true thing, my brain ran a calculation. If he is willing to show me this, what else is true about him? And the answer my brain arrived at every time was, and probably everything else too, that is the genius. One carefully chosen truth creates the assumption of complete honesty. One precisely revealed wound produces trust in the entire architecture. Raymond never lied to me about the things that mattered. Every time Raymond showed me one precise true thing, my brain ran a calculation. If he is willing to show me this, what else is true about him? And the answer my brain arrived at every time was, and probably everything else too. That is the genius. One carefully chosen truth creates the assumption of complete honesty. One precisely revealed wound produces trust in the entire architecture. Raymond never lied to me about the things that mattered. And I knew that not because he told me, but because the vulnerability he showed me was always real, always genuinely costly, always something that a man with something to hide would have hidden. And that realness, that cost, was the proof. What Raymond taught me, without intending to, was that the people we trust most completely are never the people who show us nothing, or the people who show us everything. They are the people who show us exactly the right thing, at exactly the right moment, with exactly the right weight. Here is how to build this. First, identify your real wounds, not the ones that are safe to show, not the ones that make you look interestingly damaged. Your actual wounds, the ones that cost you something, the ones that are still present, not performed. Real, selective vulnerability requires real vulnerability. You cannot select from an inventory you have not honestly assessed. Second, identify who has earned it. Not everyone deserves access to your real wounds. Raymond showed his grief to Dembe, his remorse to me, his love to Keen, each revelation to the right person. Showing a wound to someone who has not earned it is not vulnerability. It is exposure, and exposure without trust produces not connection, but danger. Third, identify the moment. Timing in selective vulnerability is everything. Too early, and it reads as instability. Too late, and it reads as calculation. The right moment is the moment when the other person has already demonstrated, through their behavior, that they will treat what you give them with the weight it deserves. Fourth, show it and continue. This is the part most people get wrong. They show the vulnerability and then wait, visibly, for the response, which immediately signals, I needed you to receive that well. Raymond showed his wounds and continued, as if the revelation, as significant as it was, did not require your validation to have been worth showing. That continuation, that complete comfort with having revealed something real and not needing it to be received in a specific way, is the final element that transforms vulnerability from a request for reassurance into an act of sovereignty. Raymond Reddington was the most difficult person I ever worked with, but the one I trusted most completely, not despite the vulnerability, because of it. Because in a world full of people performing their invulnerability, a person who shows you one real, true wound and continues without needing you to make it better is the rarest thing alive. They are telling you, I am real, I have been hurt, I have paid prices, and I am still exactly who I was before the hurt. That message, delivered once, precisely, without drama, does more for trust, more for connection, more for the way people carry you in their minds when you are not in the room, than a lifetime of performed invulnerability ever could. You do not have to be Raymond Reddington. You do not have to have his particular architecture of loss and reinvention. You just have to be willing to know your real wounds, to know who has earned them, to know the right moment, and to show exactly one true thing, and continue as if your wholeness never required their response to remain intact. People used to ask me how I worked with him, how I sat in a car with him, ate with him, let him into my life knowing what he was capable of. The honest answer is because of how safe he made me feel, which sounds insane, I know. But here's the thing nobody tells you about Red. His calm wasn't cold. It wasn't emptiness. It was earned. Every scar, every loss, every terrible thing he'd survived had been folded into something quiet and steady inside him, like a fire that stopped needing to prove it was hot. When things fell apart, and with Red they always did, he never spiraled. He'd just breathe and look at you. And somehow that look said, I have been here before, in worse rooms, with worse odds, and I am still here. Those who studied him from a distance saw strategy, a man running calculations behind carefully composed eyes. But those who knew him, truly knew him, saw something else entirely, something quieter, something that had nothing to do with tactics. That's what I learned from him. Not tactics, not cunning. Just don't let the chaos outside become chaos inside. The world will always be on fire. The question is whether you are. He never was, even at the end,